Hello there, I'm Leo Ward of the Kit Guru. This laptop is the Asus Republic of Gamers G752VT, which will come as no surprise to anybody who saw our preview of this particular laptop because it basically hasn't changed since the preview. Externally, it is exactly the same. The specification, as we said during the preview, was of a laptop that wasn't quite the same as any of the three models coming on sale in the UK that use this chassis. So we were asked not to benchmark the thing, and we didn't. However, now we can. So let's just start GTA 5 running, like thus. So, just to recap, this is the G752VT, which means that it has NVIDIA GTX 970M graphics. There are two VY models which each have GTX 980M graphics. All three models run this, a Skylake processor, either Core i7-6700HQ in this or the lesser of the two VYs, or in the higher end VY, a Core i7-6820HK. So Skylake and GTX 970M or GTX 980M, 17.3 inch chassis, IPS panel, full HD rather than 4K, Samsung M.2 SSD with NVMe, and a hard drive to give you some extra storage, a whole bunch of DDR4 memory. Now, the model that we saw, which looked identical to this, to preview, had a colossal amount of memory. It had 64 gigabytes of DDR4 and I estimated about a 2.5 grand price ticket. This has 16 gig. 16 gig to me is heaps. You can, with the other two models, get 24 or 32 gig of DDR4, but how much do you need in this life? One question mark over the spec for me is that the SAMI M.2 SSD in this is 128 gigabyte. The other models 256 or 512. Clearly that's money. Physically installing a higher capacity SSD is easy peasy. It's just a question of price. Now the 128 gig SSD, once you've got Windows 10 on it and you've got Steam and a few other bits and pieces, it's not full, not by a long chalk, but you do not have enough capacity to go around installing your Steam games. Now, when and I'll come to this in a little while, when I was benchmarking this laptop, I came across a curiosity. It's not a problem as such, a curiosity. And I started moving games around because they're on the 1 terabyte mechanical drive, and I wondered if that was part of the issue I was facing. So I actually transferred, it was Metro Redux I was dinking around with, and I transferred it from the 1 terabyte hard drive to the SSD. It made absolutely no difference to performance whatsoever. In fact, it didn't even notably look any slower to open. But you are going to be installing your games to the hard drive, that's just as sure as eggs. So, the spec of it in that regard, I would prefer to see a larger SSD. However, this model, which we are told has an SRP of £1,400, £1,399.99, we've actually found it on sale at £1,420. Clearly, a bigger SSD, £1,550, it's going to be more. So that is an issue, and that's why the two GTX 980M models, apart from the fact you have to pay for the graphics, they are £1,800 and £2,100. You've got that higher capacity DDR4 memory, you've got a bigger SSD, you've also got, in the case of the higher model, a different Skylake processor. So I would like to see a bigger SSD. I understand it's going to cost more money. £1,400 already quite a lot of money for a laptop, so you can see why Asus has gone down the route it has gone down. Such is life. Incidentally, the IPS panel, I mentioned it's 1920 by 1080. It's got G-Sync, which again, a good thing. There's an awful lot about this laptop that is impressive. Now, as you can see, GTA 5 is hooning along. And when I previewed this laptop, I ran GTA 5 and it was absolutely terrific. I stopped short of sort of generating figures, however, because I've been asked not to and I've been told the software wasn't quite right, so, you know, why do this? This model, as you can see, I have previewed it with full benchmark figures. 3D Mark Firestrike and Firestrike Extreme, figures very good. Cinebench, lovely. The curiosity is that I also ran cloud gate, which is the lesser part of 3D Mark. You use it on integrated PCs and such like, and the figure was really not good. Specifically, it was the graphics score. The physics score, which is the processor, was absolutely fine. The graphics score was bad. It was a third of where I'd expect it to be, which made little sense to me, because GTA 5 has just run along very nicely indeed. And the same was true of Fire Strike Extreme and Fire Strike. Now, if they run well, you'd expect Cloudgate to run well, but Cloudgate did not run well. Now, when I came to do a visual thing, because we've previously done GTA 5 and it looked very nice, I thought, well, let's give you a bit of eye candy, let's do something different. So I ran Metro Redux, and it was not good. It ran beautifully and then stopped. Beautifully and then stopped. The average frame rate was terrible because it was averaging a decent rate with... And I have no explanation for this. Now, it so happened that during my runs, actually the NVIDIA drivers came along for an update. So I thought, well, there you go, that's an explanation right there. And I did indeed update the drivers, and it made no difference. I mean, the figure did actually change slightly, but not in terms of the frame rate just stopping. It didn't affect 3D Mark Cloudgate either. So I don't understand. GTX 970M is not new. Skylake is obviously newish, but there is nothing about this laptop that I'm aware of that is new that's going to throw the drivers out. Perhaps some permutation of hardware. It could be. Anyway, undeniably, it plays GTA 5 beautifully. Metro Redux, on the other hand, no. I don't get it. I really don't understand that. I'm assuming it's going to be a driver thing, it's going to be some sort of setting, possibly a BIOS setting, something's going to come along that's going to make it behave properly. Depending on what games you play, and I was completely oblivious until I played, I thought, that's funny with Cloudgate. Who knows? Played Redux, thought, that's terrible. GTA 5, it's lovely. So what can you say? Let's just shut that down. So, there's a curiosity going on there. I cannot be harsh enough to say it's a problem, and I am absolutely certain Asus, Republic of Gamers, Skylake, GTX 970M, SAMI hard drive, SAMI SSD rather, it's going to work. I know it's going to work, but right now there is something that's not behaving itself. The spec of the thing is not quite beyond reproach, as I say, because the SSD is a little on the small side. On the other hand, Asus includes their ROG Gaming Center software, which I showed you before, which is just a peach. It's exactly as good as you would expect from Asus. They come up with some good utilities. They then unfortunately whack on a few extra things like their version of what seems like Dropbox and such like, which nag at you a bit, and McAfee blooming antivirus, which of course you can simply uninstall. And I've had the thing nag at me also saying, oh, you're missing the opportunity of having Microsoft Office on here, don't you know? It's like, well, thanks very much. That side of things I could do without. One other bit of the spec that varies a little. This VT model has a 6-cell battery and weighs just over 4 kilos, 406 kilos. The VY, the mid-range one, has an 8-cell battery, weighs in just under 4.4 kilos, which is a lot for a laptop. And then the top VY has a 6-cell battery, and I'm guessing also comes in at just over 4 kilos. You're over 4 kilos no matter what. You are realistically going to be lugging around your power brick, because otherwise you ain't going to be gaming on the go. I would say that most airline seats you'll struggle to have his laptop on your lap with people either side of you, because it's a big one. It's also heavy. Now, the layout of the thing, it's taken advantage of the size, which I quite like. So on this side we have two USB 3.0 ports, we have a DVD drive. DVD drive is a Blu-ray combo. The preview one that we saw had a Blu-ray writer, but it's a complete irrelevance. On this side, we've got all manner of ports. We've got another two USB 3. We've got a 3.1 Type-C connector, which is a good thing. We've got headset jacks. We've also got the graphics out, mini display port, HDMI, and a power connector. On the back, we've got a mass of ventilation. They've done a good job with this. Now, depending on exactly which laptop you've got, you may or may not get vapor chamber cooling on the graphics. This 970M doesn't require it. You also have on the cooling system, you have this sort of bypass duct. So if it's sucking crud from the air, dog hair, goodness knows what else, instead of it just going in and clogging up the heat exchanger, it gets whipped around the side as a bypass channel. I haven't tested that because realistically, the only way I can is to fill the thing with crud, and that doesn't seem quite the right thing to do with a brand new laptop. That's clearly something we can only, over time we can verify. If people say my laptop's absolutely beautiful, thanks. I cannot actually think, however, that I've had a laptop that's suffered from being clogged with nastiness. PCs and so on, yeah, indeed. Laptops, I'm casting my mind back, I've never been particularly aware of it. However, the point is, Asus has put a lot of emphasis on keeping temperatures down, which is a good thing, obviously. Also, I have to say that with this, I was somewhat mocking in the preview because they described the looks of the thing as armor, titanium, and plasma copper, and I mocked it. It's really nice. It helps that this is a new laptop. I unboxed it myself. The previous one had clearly been seen by a couple of people, and it wasn't new. It was in decent condition. It wasn't new. This is new, and it's lovely. It's big and it's heavy, but it's lovely. I like almost everything about it, apart from the fact I'm not mad keen on the physical weight of the thing. The size, the look, the keyboard, the illuminated keyboard, the travel, the feel, the Asus software, the fact they've put a few utilities and I could do without. But the heart of it, the gaming center software and such like, very good indeed. The ports and connectors, 4 USB 3.0s and 1 Type-C 3.1 is a good thing. It does everything you could possibly want from a gaming laptop, apart from being highly portable. When you're into the razor blade kind of territory, you're in a different type of laptop. If you're into big and grunty, this has a huge amount going for it. The price, it lands in a good place. £1,400 is obviously a lot of money, but in terms of super duper high end, it's very, very acceptable. On the other hand, it's full HD rather than 4K, which makes perfect sense. The SSD is a little on the small side. There's that question mark over the performance, which is the performance is fine, but there's something curious going on in a couple of one aspect of 3D Mark and Metro Redux. No doubt there are other games that can do something equally bizarre, but all the new tricky stuff, GTA 5, it storms through, so that's a bit of a curiosity. Battery life, I expected very little from this laptop. However, continually looping benchmarks, 2 hours 29. Double that for a real world figure, 5 hours, which is, you won't be able to carry a thing for 5 hours, it'll kill you. So battery life, better than I expected. Now, in a chassis this size, there's no excuse for having a small battery. It does the job, fair play. I kind of expected it just to wither away within an hour. So that was a pleasant surprise. Other bits and pieces, it's got Intel Wireless N7265, which is absolutely fine. There is nothing to dislike about this laptop whatsoever, unless you simply want a thin and light laptop, in which case you're clearly not shopping in this sort of territory. And there's that quirk of performance. As to the 128GB SSD, easy peasy, isn't it? You buy yourself the 980 model, so you're splashing out a thick end then of £2,000, but you're getting a lot more hardware for your money. That is very much a case of you pays money, it takes choice. Anyway, Asus G752VT, it's here, it's good. There's the quirk of performance, which I don't quite fathom. I'm certain it will be sorted. Put that to one side, it's a good one. This is Leo Wardock for Kit Guru.